Trinidad Urban Renewal Authority. Today is December the 12th, 2019. It is 5:32 p.m. and this is the work session of the Trinidad Urban Renewal Authority. Item number one on the agenda this evening is revisions to the facade renovation program. You all recall we adopted in the date of September the 6th of 2018. We have put together a facade renovation program, which is mainly based for stabilization. If you look at that old, or the current, I don't want to say the old, the current document is written, has a lot of deficiency in it. And those deficiencies or restrictions, what makes it difficult for anyone that is really looking to do anything. It puts a lot of burden on them, and if you look at it, there's a lot of things in there that up to and including the inclusion of the Main Street group or the Main Street board. Or I don't think that those two things really weave together. I mean, we talked about that the last time that we met last month, and that was whether, while there are possibilities, we may need some assistance from them when it comes and it's written into the document that you have in front of you for the revision. As far as the other part, we have our own application form that we use. The current document as we have it says that it's going to go through the Main Street program first. So there's a lot of things in there that are not applicable. They need to have corrections, changed, modification. So I spent some time on it, provided last month, asked everybody if they wanted to make any other changes to it. So what we have in front of us tonight, open for discussion, and my goal is to have this changed and in place as soon as possible, so this program can begin to work. As it sits right now, it's difficult, and we're going to have something. The next item on the agenda, we'll be speaking about it as well. So the floor is open to anybody who wants to make comments on it, ask questions. You can ask me directly because I'm the one that engineered all these changes to the document.
I have a question.
Yes.
I've been looking at this and thinking about it, and we talk about you want people to use it and you want people to apply for it. Why did we decide on 20% instead of not 25% and sweeten it up?
Because we're trying to see how many property owners will go after. It basically, it is pilot yet, for all intents and purposes, because we don't have any real experience with it. We've had 2 applications on it so far, and one we did have to reject because it was outside of our boundaries. The other one is still active, with certain things still have to be done. So that number was thrown out there back then, up to and including the $30,000 in the aggregate for the first year. It's just a matter of putting some of that money out there, hoping it to get out there so it'll work. So, I can't say it was arbitrary, but it was a number that, because you get a big project and, somebody comes in with a $50,000 project, we could, basically fund $10,000 on it. But how many of those do you get that you can't fund? So you'd like to see as many as you can get.
That's what I was thinking, and I was thinking, even if somebody did like a small facade, 20,000 at 20% would be 4,000, 25% would be 5,000, but at least it would sweeten it up a little bit and make it maybe more worth applying for. And at 30,000, that's 6,000 for 20% and 7,500 for 25%. So you're I was just thinking, we want to have people apply for it, so let's make it applicable.
But it's one of those things where we're looking to assist. We are not the project. Okay, so we're at 20% or 25, whatever it is. The amounts of this program is intended to assist in a project, but it is not the heart of the project. And so that 20% figure, and then again, if you use that number and as I've changed it in the new document, I did put it in that, if you notice in that last line,
right,
that and we would be changing the entire document. Well, the urban renewal will reserve the right to be able to terminate, modify, or whatever else at some point. So, you know, my thing of it is, I mean, if we wanted to change that number, we could, but we haven't gotten anywhere with what we've got so far. I don't think it's the percentages that we offer, it's just the fact that we're not getting we need to advertise it more, number one, and number two, we need to make it so it's not so restrictive as the current document is way too restrictive. And so as it goes, if we continue on with the current document, with the current guidelines, it's not attractive to anybody. Honestly, you know, as you look at it, it's not there. That 1 year, you know, we're 15 months into it, and it proves that it's not attractive.
I think too, didn't we, when we decided on that percentage, we had just so much money, and then we decided that if we were to do $10,000 increments, it would be, we could fund more projects.
Right, yeah, so that's where the 20 came out. It's arbitrary for that, so I mean, and that could change as time goes, if we decide if this is a successful program and we carry it forward, and assuming that our TIF money keeps coming in, you know, it's those things to consider. But it's one where, you know, I think that the main thing of it is especially in the program delineation, you know, we've gotta make those changes there. And so, you know, open to discussion, but, you know, if we continue with it as currently written, it is not gonna attract anybody.
Nick,
Please.
one of the things that I listened to Mr. Murphy last week when he said to us that when we disperse the money at the end of the project, it makes it, not as palatable as maybe a loan program would be. So I got online, I read a lot, there are a lot of facade programs out there for small towns and a lot of small urban renewal projects, but I do have to say, even though I see where he's coming from, just about across the board, they are dispersing it at the end of time. It's more of a grant program than it is a loan program.
Right.
But perhaps we might consider a loan program at some point, where we do disbursements throughout the project.
And that could be, I mean, that could be the next step. But we're at this point, we need to work on what we have, that 15 months into it hasn't gone anywhere. I think there's some revisions that you can see what's taken out of it. You know, like the requirement for the architectural, all that documentation going into it, all this is intended to make that go away, so it's as easy as possible for that applicant to be able to have some qualification.
Well, Ed, I'd like to thank you for moving forward and doing this on your own. You just kind of grabbed the bull by the horns and went for it. I like what you've done. I like what you've taken out. I think this makes it a much more palatable program, and hopefully the public will find it to be so as well, so that we get some people who actually submit applications.
This is one of those 3:30 or 4 o'clock in the morning projects.
Yes, I understand. But you did well, and I thank you for it.
So like I say, I like to see that program. I want to see some success to it. I want to get it out there. We just need to, if we make these changes, then we need to devise some kind of an advertising program for it, if it has to be a print ad or whatever else, but at least to gain people's interest in it, so that we can get applicants and consider and allot some of those funds. We know our funds are growing. I think, you know, we're in a good position. I'd like to see that. So again, you know, we're talking about it now, and therefore, if you think it's worthy enough, it can go to, you know, it's scheduled. We have it for a regular session tonight, or we could make it a reality tonight.
Well, you kept it in the parameters that you guys originally drafted this for. It just reduced the restrictions, I think, we're fine with it. Anytime we move forward with it.
And again, I call attention to the last sentence, is that we have the latitude that if we foresee that we need changes, we can change this document as we go.
Yeah. Left and out.
Any further discussion? We'll take it forward then to the regular session for consideration and hopefully adoption. Item number 2 on the agenda this evening is related to the application that we received last month. And it was received the 14th of November. Commissioner Valani and I reviewed it for what it would come in comparison to what the current guidelines are and what the applicant had submitted. Everybody was provided with a copy of that letter that was sent out. And so basically where it stands now, we have asked the applicant and the property owner to provide us with additional documentation so that we can bring that forward to, we'll review it again and get what it has so we can ultimately bring it here for approval or whatever else. But we looked at it initially and there's just more information needed. And so, it's still on the burner, it hasn't gone anywhere. But it's just a matter of the applicant providing additional documentation to fit with the guidelines that we have in place.
Does it appear that they have their funding available to do the program, or financially?
I think it's a work in progress. I think the place are doing a lot of stuff on the inside. You can't tell by looking because the windows are blocked off, so you can't see. But I believe there are things going on the inside, and there are things planned for the outside in order to stabilize, like the cornice up on the very top. I think the exterior wall seems to have some failure to it, so they've devised a way, I think, that they're going to be able to run some pins through it to be able to raise the front to the inside wall or however, because I think that front wall is probably I don't think it's the main structure, I think it's just like how they call it, a facade. Yeah. But anyway, that's where that stands. I put it all in there. Does anybody have any questions or wanna? I wrote the letter. It came authored by me and it was sent to the applicant, but it was Commissioner Valani and I that did it, so I can't take total blame.
Let's spread the blame. I have a question.
Yes.
When you've already sent this out, so if we should pass this, the revision to the facade renovation program tonight, will you be in contact with Mr. Wilson to let him know that the parameters have changed?
I can as a courtesy to him.
Because in the letter, it does state that he had a review of an architecture or an engineer. And so, I mean, I was just wondering if you were gonna, that courtesy.
Well, no, and it's still relevant because in the stuff that he mentions in there, like that brick that needs to be pulled back in, that I think in itself has, it asks that question. Is that just by what it is.
If that's the case, it needs to be addressed.
There's some structural and so they may have, because if they've made plans to actually to run those things through and put those rosettes from the front to hold it in, they may have already done that. But I mean, it's just a matter of, as the applicant, I mean, we're gonna look at it, but there is burden on the applicant to provide proper information no matter what. But I think that at least took it from the step of him submitting an application to show that we have reviewed it, taking it forward.
And actually, the new version still includes the review by an architect or engineer.
Possibly.
Yes, possible. But
If applicable. Yeah. So in some cases, so it's there, so we gave him that information. So, I've not heard back from him, either verbally or by letter, so as anything comes to city.
They would have to bring that to the city, from what I'm understanding, first anyway, right?
We should check,
So that's why
check
you
the
put
inspection
that,
department, yeah, because, will they be granting you a permit to allow that to happen? Okay, so that's where that went. It's just a matter of, we reviewed it, sent out a letter, it's at next step, and in the hands of the applicant. Any further discussion on that?
I'm sorry I wasn't here for the last meeting, but were we provided with a copy of the application?
Yes,
Yes.
Okay, so I need to go back to my prior meeting packet.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
okay, excuse me, item number 3 is the 2020 preliminary budget. Information I provided, I put this together, so if anybody thinks we need to revise or wanna add anything else to it, but I've taken basically what was, some of the format from prior years. One of the things we gotta do, we need to adopt it because we have to have, all budgets should be approved by year end. So therefore, we need to have something in place. This is what we approve, I will be sending to Department of Local Affairs as required for local government by the end of January. So if we pass it, it will be put in, we'll put final draft and send it to them, showing that we approved it for next year. So what I've given, and there may be some changes we may need to do here tonight because Brittany has placed in front of us some revised on the financial. You're going to see that the income that we have, we had additional monies come in from Los Angeles County. This happened on the 10th of December. So we will discuss first what I have TIF revenue for projected for 2020. I've used a $35,000 figure because I'm somewhat conservative. I don't know what's gonna happen for the next year. To date, we've received in excess of $53,000 this year, but it's because, if you'll recall, earlier in the year, the Jody Amato and Donna Leonetti came, and it was determined that there was a miscalculation in the TIF that we received in prior years. So we've received additional monies this year that would have been as a result of what should have been in past. So I'm using an estimate of about $35,000 of what might be getting on tax increment for 2020. That seem okay with everybody?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I don't know where it's at, so I'm using that conservatively. You know, it could inevitably exceed that, not by a lot, but it could do it. But the monies that we've received this year, which is, like I say, right now in the 53,000 plus range, it's because they had to adjust the calculations and they brought that all forward. So, you know, we did get somewhat of a little boom in our monies for this year, but that's where that's at. Other, I've listed at $5,000. As you know, we do have and we will be speaking about that shortly, but the city of Trinidad has transferred a parcel of land to Urban Renewal, which we will here in the not too distant future, when everything comes together, we need to take that, put that out there and solicit bids and proposals on that piece of land. I don't know what its value is. That we'll make that determination, and you know we'll put a value in ultimately what we get out of it. But I use that number just conservatively again because I don't know where that was going to go. It's less than an acre of land. I don't know what its value is and how we will establish that. But there'll have to be a fair value established at some point in the very near future. But I don't know that it's going to be that. And then again, we have 4 other lots that we need to determine how we're going to do it as well. Pre-development deposits, none foreseen for this coming year, so that's a 0. And if I would like to mention that if in the future we do have any proposals for developers that we would do like we did La Puerta or the Ashland properties for the Opera House, that we create special and dedicated accounts. I personally do not want to see commingled with our general fund. It became a bookkeeping nightmare, and what actually created, as we came from 2018 into 2019, La Puerta or Kip Hamden, we actually became a deficit. And that always all paid, I mean, we got all our monies, but we carried forward a deficit from 18 to 19, and so there was just a lot of stuff that had to happen. So if we land up doing that at any time in the near future, that we have to have any pre-development agreements, that we have to take deposits from developers, I will suggest at that point, assuming I'm reappointed, that there will be segregated accounts and we do bookkeeping to each individual account. I personally do not want to see it going through our general fund and creating a bookkeeping nightmare, because it is, isn't it?
I don't think, and personally, I agree with you. You know, as a real estate agent, I mean, you have you can't commingle funds.
Mhm.
And, for instance, earnest money or anything like this, you have separate escrow account unless to keep funds, and I think that's certainly something we need to initiate.
Yes.
I agree.
I don't necessarily think it has to be a separate account for each fund, but
Yeah.
at least they should all go into an account separate from our general fund.
Right, exactly.
Okay. So then the final entry on there is cash on hand. The cash on hand that I listed on there is using those numbers that we had, that we previously had. But since Brittany has provided us with an amended, financial statement today with what we have in, a checking account, that number has changed. And now our cash on hand is $210,713.74. So my suggestion is that we make that change, that $209,765.91 should change to $210,713.74, making that fund balance $250,713.74.
Repeat that again, 250 what?
250,713.24. You can check my math, but okay. So we drop down to the next level, which is expenses,
74.
250,713.
210, 713, 74. And then 250, 713, 74.
Yes. Yeah, we had a little bit of, the treasurer sent us $760.80, so that makes those
Well, it's
changes.
215, not 250.
250.
Yes, it is 250.
250, yeah. We'll go from 249,765.91 to 250,713.74. We go forward to the expenses, and the assumption is we'll have calls for the money that we have. So we will use that number of 240,713.74. No pre-development expenditures. We put in $10,000 for legal travel and training. That would make then that 249,765.91. It will balance out as well at 250,713.74.
Okay.
Sufficient to take that for approval tonight?
Mhm.
One of the things I want to encourage this year is, there are a lot of, opportunities for, training and retraining. Downtown DCI, Downtown Colorado Incorporated, puts them on, so, that's why I made sure that we list it. It wasn't in prior budgets, but it's in there. Like I said, and we could have taken it, we didn't have to budget it, but I have it in there that we could use it for that. And one possible thought is, do you ever want to go to one of those just to get, it could be very helpful.
Sure.
It just gives you an overall, give relevance to some of the stuff we say here, and maybe you can turn around and interject at times and tell me if I'm wrong.
Deal.
Anything else on the budget? Does that all look like it's good enough that we can send it to DOLA and be in compliance?
Looks good to me.
Just like to give a shout out to the treasurer's office for sending us more money.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, by the way, and speaking of that, I did speak with Jody Amato early in the week. She'd been gone for a while at doing the assessor training, and she had told me that she told me earlier that she was going to send me a document that would address that. But she's, quite busy, and I didn't get that, so that number would remain. I don't know that it will change it, but she said she would provide information, but as of today, I've not seen anything from her. So, that's my number, and I'm sticking to it.
She's driving back right now from
It's a budget.
conferences.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I don't think that, I don't think our number's gonna be that big. I think 53,000 this year. All they did was change what revenue we had not received in prior
Just
years.
added to it.
Yeah. Okay. That's it for the budget. Anybody else? Item number 4, land transfer discussion. At the most recent city council meeting, which was last week, the second reading of the what are the ordinance? The parcel of land that had been presented to us in the past, and it's the one that is Here. We're all provided with this map.
Yes.
This parcel of land is where,
Carol wasn't here. that's
you
all.
weren't here. This parcel of land, this is the end of Maple Street. As you come down, this corner is where the plumbing shop was.
Yes,
So
TJ's
this-
is there now.
Right, so as you go down, yeah, TJ's is here, plumbing shop is there.
Yes,
So you go down, Maple Street, it dead ends there. This parcel of land in here is what's been transferred to us by the city of Trinidad.
okay.
That's basically the same thing, a little bit less than an acre. Hughes lumber is just there for reference, it's not part of that. But so that's the piece of land that was, transferred to us, that we will do something with. So,
And it does appear to be landlocked?
it is landlocked. From both sides. So, what state statute allows and requires of it, if we want to dispose of it, so that's something we need to talk about. We will dispose of it, is that the desire of, or we will be sitting on another parcel. So, Colorado state statute for the disposal of land indicates that what happens is, and we're going to need legal counsel on it, so this is just, this is just the beginning point. But we will probably have to refer to Les and or Malcolm Murray to determine how this is going to work. But you solicit bids and proposals from individuals that are interested in it. The bids are would require a monetary amount. They will have to provide a proposal as to what the land use will be. Propose an offer, tender an offer, a monetary offer, with a proposal of what that land will be, what the end use of that land would be. We as the Urban Renewal Authority have to weigh what those proposed uses would be and how they fit for the best usage and for the betterment of the city of Trinidad. i.e. being obviously gonna get taxes out of it, whether it be job creation, whatever it's going to be. So that would be the burden of the person that is looking to purchase the land, is to provide a proposal as to what that land would be used for. We would weigh it as what it's going to be used for, what its best use is, and what its benefit is to the community based upon it. You also in that process, and what I'm telling you is based upon Colorado state statute that we all have. If you don't, we gotta get it for you, I'm sorry. But we gotta get that for you. And what it, what did I say? Where did I leave off at? And those persons that provide the, proposals, we, for the lack of better terms, will vet that individual, and it states in here that individual or that person, that company, that entity has the, has a wherewithal and is able to do what it is they say they're gonna do. It cannot be sold for speculation. And so it's within there. The authority shall consider all such redevelopment and rehabilitation proposals and the financial and legal ability of the persons making such proposals to carry them out, and may negotiate with persons for proposal for purchase, lease, or sale. So that's basically the steps that go on from there. Again, this will have to go through legal counsel, and we determine the methodology. But first we gotta get it. I mean, that was passed. We've not yet received a deed or whatever other instrument it is, but that has happened. So it's a matter of, they did it. It's final action by city council. So it comes over the hill to us very shortly. So at some point we need to take steps to get it out there to sale. Its best thing is to get it back on the tax rolls.
How will we do that? Does it specify in the statutes how we are to advertise or to?
Yeah, it does. It's gotta do it in the newspaper. It tells you in a publication, an authority by public notice, by publication once each week for 2 consecutive weeks in a newspaper having general circulation in the municipality.
Could we put our other lands on that too? when we do advertise?
Just take it all in?
And dump it all in one time, huh?
I would like to separate them.
Okay.
I mean, it's one, we got some parcels that we need, there's a couple of things we need to do when we get to our other 4 parcels, cause we, that would probably be the best way to do it as well. But we have that one that I'm not sure of how, I mean, the community garden is there, and I'm not sure how that, there's a lease out there, but that's urban renewal land. And so that lease, if it was transacted by, wasn't transacted by us, cause there was no
Right,
urban renewal in
who's the
place.
lease with? The city?
Earth Mountain, would it be Earth Mountain?
Earth Mountain and City.
Yeah, so there's a lease on it, but, again, there was no functional urban renewal authority during that time, but that land has been allowed to be occupied, and that's urban renewal land.
Is it my understanding though, they do not have a garden in there
No.
now? They did not have one last year?
I went looking,
You did?
I looked here just,
Looks like a garden, it's just overgrown weeds.
There's a lot of undesirable vegetation in there,
Right.
none of it is of the edible type.
And did anyone ever speak with Joni about what their intents were?
Haven't yet, and status quo at this point, because we haven't taken any steps on it, but I think that would be the next thing, is
Maybe
to,
we should invite her to one of our meetings.
well, as we get to those, that thought, we're gonna start doing something with those parcels, I need to do it. But anyway.
I have one question.
Yes.
Does the city have a planning and zoning that has to approve stuff like this for this property we're talking about now? So they do have you have to go through planning and zoning to get approval, and then city council will put their stamp on like we do in the county. So how do we buffer that as vetting them through the state statute to sell it? Cause they probably have to buy it from us first before they go to the
Right,
city
right.
Right.
and ask that process, so.
But when does planning and zoning come into it?
Well,
Certainly not upon the sale of it.
not at
No.
sale,
No,
but.
that would be afterward, before they're building and.
Okay, question number 2 I have then would be, Fran, you would know this for the real estate agent possibly. I asked Mike last time here, that used to be an old train yard, and the asbestos brakes that were used back in those days, is it gonna fall on the burden of TURA for the mitigation of the hazards, if finding
That's right.
hazards
Trying to do a phase 1?
through, they can do it through Brownsville, or would it be on the property owner who purchases it later? Because right now, it's the city's passed it to us. Is it gonna fall on TURA for the mitigation of it, if they deem it hazardous?
Well, the burden of trying to find out what's under that land is basically, for the buyer. I mean, a responsible owner, of course, would, have some information about that, but, that's certainly, if the owner does not know it, then a buyer can request, for instance, to know if there's been any EPA testing on the land and stuff. And then it becomes a point of negotiation in a real estate.
Can you do it like when you do a used car as is, no warranty applied?
Has that land been checked at all down there? Is it-
I mean, because that's not the only piece of land down there, right?
When they were building the Toyota dealership in the city and all that, that was tested there.
Mhm.
And they didn't get mitigate there, but the train, very few tracks went through there, that was mainly for the Budweiser rail. And I think that was put in years later when asbestos brakes were no longer used, but that area where we're talking now was actually, all those trains were parked.
A lot of trains went through there, yeah, so it'd be, like I say.
And the reason I say is because I just came from the Brownsville grants, and all of the applications we're doing all over the community and stuff for cleaning up sites like that, including Grand Oil's using some of that grants as well. But for the mitigation of these properties, it's kind of, there's money out there to get the phase 1 and phase 2 of the testing of it, but the mitigation falls on the landowner, or the property owner, unless you get a grant, an additional grant, some sort of DOLA or something like that. We had the same thing at the courthouse. We got the grant for the asbestos abatement to testing of it, and then we had to pay for it ourselves for the mitigation of it, for the actual physical mitigation of it, or we got grants, but still it fell on the county, so, to get the project completed. So I just would hate to get a piece of land and then we can't do nothing with it, or it has used material line that falls on this board for $150,000 cleanup.
What about the surrounding properties? On the map you showed me, let's see,
Where did that map go?
I didn't steal it.
It's not the bottom.
It's at the bottom of
That
the.
was just here.
There it is. Now, these surrounding properties, do we have any idea the ownership of these and whether or not they went through any, EPA testing?
You don't. That's Mac Loudon's, Jerry Mac Corporation.
Mm-hmm.
That's Kip Hamden,
Okay,
and
and
that's
so,
the city.
and so this one is leased by Kip Hamden,
Mhm.
and this one is
Owned by Kip
Kip
Hamden.
Hamden, but we don't know whether anything was ever
No.
done there.
Yeah, 'cause that's right into it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we'll get that,
Go through the weeds
Yeah.
later on that issue, I just wanted to bring
Yeah.
that to everybody's attention.
yeah.
That it could be detrimental in the long run. Hopefully it's not, but but then, and then again, we also represent TURA, not Kip Hamden or any other private developer.
Yeah,
So-
I mean, yeah, so we get it out there and, we can get the legalities on it and any caveats, we can place on it as well.
But the most important thing is if you're gonna advertise it as if it's a known material fact, then you need to disclose it, okay? We don't know if there is a material problem
Right.
with that. And so if you wanna
So
go
it'll fall on
forward
the-
with the sale, then you need to disclose that there has been no testing on the land. And so that it becomes a transparent, and we show that transparency. And then
And
then
have the
we
burden of
move
the property
forward.
owner, yeah, okay.
then we move forward.
I
you
just
know?
don't want it to be a burden on us,
No.
that's all.
No.
No, and when you put it out there, we'll make sure that it'll go with everything that's necessary, because it's, we're getting it, and like possibly there's other pieces of land sitting out there the city owns that could come through us, that we could take it to this same type of a situation and get it back onto
We're
the
kind
tax
of,
rolls.
we're kind of learning on this one, huh?
Mm-hmm.
But again, as Commissioner Leone said, is, maybe this can become a pilot for what we wanna do with our other 4 properties.
Well, this is commercial property, the other is residential property.
Right.
So they could never have been, shouldn't have been combined.
Well, we can combine them on the advertising when we go to sell them all.
Well, all of the residential.
Yeah, and these are all being up for auction, this is a commercial, this is a residential,
Right,
so
exactly.
forth. Very well, thank you.
Okay, so that'll, like I say, when that first surfaced, I started reading all the stuff related to the statute, because one was, how we can acquire land, it can be given to us, we can buy it, we can, the final and last undesirable part is condemnation.
Did we ever hear anything on that land up on 7th Street?
Good question.
7th Street.
It was kind of dropped.
The home that was burned?
No, with the turn of events we've had in the last few months, and we have no executive director, I'm basically
In the
doing all that stuff right now, and some of it's just a matter of not time, so I guess if we could check into it with the building department, and it'll have to go forward to, I don't even know what I went by there the other day, it still stands,
Yeah,
it still
it is.
stands. Yeah. Okay. Anything else on that? Say, that'll come forward whenever we actually officially get the land and then make a decision to contact, go through Les Downs, Attorney Les Downs, attorney for the city of Trinidad. Probably that would be a starting point, but we may ultimately end up having to go through, Malcolm Murray, who is our, expert on revenue things. And then at that point, we'll, we wanna set a bottom end price on it, because we got, anything that we get, we gotta make sure we can cover all costs associated with it, including, legal, publications and everything else. We wanna, in other words, net something out of it.
Hopefully.
Okay, anything else on that? Item number 5, discussion of items for future work session agendas. Our next scheduled meeting will be the 9th of January 2020.
Wow.
So if anybody has anything that they would like to get on that agenda, get it to me, I'll get it to Brittany, or go ahead and contact Brittany directly, and we'll make it a part of next month's agenda.
We probably will need to continue our land transfer discussion.
Yes, by then we should know more or a lot more.
Mhm.
And if we do, as time goes, well, we'll make sure emails go out to everybody, that you'll be kept abreast of everything going on, anything in advance of that.
Has the city gotten any closer on a city manager, or where are they at, do they know?
Yes, we left until after the first of the year, so all the members of council get to be a part of that.
But I was gonna say the same thing, yeah, they're waiting until the new city council is seated and then they're gonna start the process, so, a few more weeks.
So I'm gonna get my pen and application. All right. All that said, if there's nothing else that we have to discuss in work session, we are going to go to our regular meeting. This is the regular meeting of the Trinidad Urban Renewal Authority. It is now 6:13 p.m., December the 12th, 2019. Item number 1 is a roll call.
Bolton?
Here?
Leone? Here. Lopez?
Here.
Matei?
Here.
Terrabino? Malani?
Here.
Grego?
Here. Item number 2 is the approval of the minutes from our previous meeting in November. I think it was November 12th. November 14th. Everyone was provided with an advance copy of those minutes for perusal. Everybody's had that opportunity. Is there a motion?
I'll move to approve them as presented.
I'll second it.
Motion and a second. Any other comments, questions, additions, modifications? Roll call.
Bolton abstained due to absence.
Leone?
Yes.
Lopez?
Yes.
Matei?
Yes.
Malani?
Yes.
Grego?
Yes. Item number 3 is the acceptance of the financial report. And as previously stated, Brittany did provide us with an updated number. One thing changed with what you got in your packet would be for our current balances in the checking account. Otherwise, all other entries would be about the same, huh?
I'd make a motion to approve the most recent financial report.
I'll second that.
There's a motion and a second. Comments, questions? Roll call.
Bolton?
Yes.
Leone?
Yes.
Lopez?
Yes.
Matei?
Yes.
Malani?
Yes.
Grego?
Yes. Item number 4, consideration of bills. And I don't believe that there are any bills that have been presented to us for payment since our last meeting. Or through this month, actually. So with that being said, we move on to item number 5, petitions or communications or written. Not aware of any? Wally, that's it?
Not today.
All right. But you will at some point in the future.
Yeah, and I think I'm gonna come speak to you all about Space to Create at some point,
Okay.
so.
Alright, thank you. Item number 6, old business. And item number 6, on the agenda for consideration for adoption of the facade renovation program policies and the document that we discussed earlier in work session. Everybody had that opportunity to read and discuss. Is there a motion?
I make a motion to approve the adoption of the facade renovation program policies.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further questions or comments? Roll call.
Bolton?
Yes.
Leone?
Yes.
Lopez?
Yes.
Matei?
Yes.
Malani?
Yes.
Grego?
Yes. Item number 7 under new business, consideration of the adoption of the budget for calendar year 2000 and budget year 2020. We had that discussion just a few minutes ago. You suggested amendments to it.
I'll make a motion to approve the 2020 budgets with the amended amounts that, do we need to state the amounts?
Yeah, go ahead and show that the difference.
Amending the cash on hand to 210,713.74 and the total to 250,713.74. Under the expenses, renovation projects would be amended to, what is it, 210,713.74 again?
240.
240,713.74, and with a total of 250,713.74. I'll make that motion.
I second it.
Motion and a second. Any further questions or comments? Roll call.
Bolton?
Yes.
Leoni?
Yes.
Lopez?
Yes.
Matei?
Yes.
Malani?
Yes.
Grego?
Yes. Item number 6, report by executive director, obviously none to have. Item number 9, reports by commissioners. Do we got any? Commissioner Bolt?
I would like to say I'm sorry that I missed last month's meeting as well as the seminar that was held in Pueblo. And if necessary, I am willing to repay TURA for the money that was expended for me to attend the seminar.
That was like $800, wasn't it? Unnecessary. Well, things happen.
Okay.
We wish we could do
I
that.
just
But,
wanted
you know,
to make that
No,
offer. It was not my intent not to appear.
no, we appreciate.
I was in the same boat, so I feel bad.
We appreciate it.
I do have a comment though. I'd like to wish every one of you a happy Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Thank you.
And safe travels to you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Only thing I would like to report that, was it just about a week ago, only, that we ED director, that's ED director, right?
Yeah, coordinator, but
Coordinator.
same thing.
Yeah. Wally Wallace and I had a pretty lengthy and really, good discussion about, you know, how urban renewal and how ED can, work, you know, in tandem as time goes to see things happen in and around Trinidad. So, you know, at some point we'll have a discussion, a full panel discussion with him, but we did talk about it. I filled him in, about, you know, what TURA is, what TURA's done, and whatever else over the past. So we've had that discussion, so at some point in time in the future, we can have a little meeting with him, or he can come before us and we can put those kind of things together. So I appreciate your time on that.
Yeah, gladly. I did read the state booklet, so I'm learning.
Is there anything else? As we move to item number 10, it is now 6:19 p.m. Is there a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Or second?
Second.
Motion and a second. If there are no dissenting votes, we will go by acclamation. Adjourned.
I have a motion and a second for a week and a half straight on that.
Been there and done that, right?
That's good.
Okay.
See ya.
Hey, Wally, see you all.